Hi, welcome to Mark D. Maker. Today we're going to be making this little box. It's called the Slab Box. This box has the grain wraps all the way around it as if it's just a block of wood. It's real easy to make. I'm going to show you how to do it. Come on, I'll show you how to do it. So here we are in the garage. Here's the little box that I've been telling you about. This is the little register that I mentioned earlier. Holds the lid in place and gives a little like snap when it goes into place. Makes it feel finished, makes it feel right. Now, there are steps involved to this, and you might want to take some notes. It's not complicated, but there are several steps. So once you find the block of wood that you want to use, and I suggest finding something that has nice grain to it, because it can come out really nice. I don't know if you can see the grain, how it wraps around this box, but when I show people that, they go, wow, how did you do that? That is so cool. So this is how you do that. First, you label all the sides. You're going to label the front, the back, the top, the bottom, and the sides. So that's the first step. Next step is you're just going to put a little arrow facing front. This will keep all of these slabs, as you cut them off, oriented in the right direction. So they all go together, and when you glue them, they'll look seamless. So you see how everything's pointed towards the front, all these arrows, and then the back you want to put top as your reference. So I write back, top, and then the arrow. So by doing that, when you go to cut off these slabs and you put them back together again, it's not this puzzle you're trying to figure out. It goes back seamless. So when you do go to cut these areas off, they're basically 3 cuts. You're going to cut the top. That's your first cut, along with the bottom. So the top and bottom are going to be your first cuts. They come off. Your next cuts are going to be your sides. So your sides will come off. This side and that side. So the front and the back. Then the sides come off. That's your third cut. When you, and this is something to keep in mind, on the top part, when you cut the top off, which is going to be your first cut, when you cut that top off, that first slab, take a marker and write right on the wood, top. Because when you're done cutting all this off of the wood, you're going to go back and cut another slab where it says top, and that becomes this piece, your register piece. So even though I'm doing this project on a bandsaw, you don't need a bandsaw. You can do this with a handsaw, squirrel saw, back saw, even a chop saw. anything that will cut the wood into slabs. Okay, so we got the pieces all cut out. All the pieces are cut out. All the pieces are labeled. And here's what's left from the middle. You could actually use this to glue up your pieces to kind of hold it in place if you wanted to. So what I'm going to do is take some wood glue, and I got a bamboo skewer. By the way, bamboo skewers, I like to use bamboo skewers to glue up stuff if I'm not going to, especially with a very small like this. You know, it's a little too small for a glue brush. But you definitely want to get rid of that sharp tip. And a pair of pet nail clippers does a really good job in cutting these bamboo skewers nice and clean. Just a little tip there. So we know that this is the bottom and we want it to face front. This is going to be the front. These are the sides and we want them to face front. This is the top and we want that to face front. And this is the back and this is going to be the top. So that's how we want to glue it up. We do not want to glue the top onto it because then you got to cut it again. So you want to glue these components together. Let's get started with that. Pour a little glue out. I've unglued myself. Gonna double check my bottom. Oh my goodness. To make sure it's in the right orientation. One thing for sure, after the age of 40, you never want your bottom over your head. That's a fact. Let's say the back and the top. All the sides. Now you could use super glue if you wanted it to go really quick. Super glue and some kicker, which was, will make it sit instantly. I've covered that on a couple videos, but I'm going to do a glue video and just talk about the different glues and what they're good for and how to use them. All along, you just keep checking to make sure you get your orientations right. When you first put the glue on, it's real slippery, but after about a minute, you can still move it around, and it'll have enough like grip or hold that you can start to feel the lines, make sure you get everything lined up the way you want it. Now I've in the past have used rubber bands to put around it. I've used tape. Anything will work. I think I'm going to use tape today. Start off with just the corners. You're squeezing it the whole time, forcing out any excess glue. Going to be sanding the outside of this to bring everything even and flat anyway, but you want to do as little sanding as possible. At least I do. You can still feel and line up through the tape. Excuse me, my allergies have been just tearing me up lately and affecting my voice. Even though it's beautiful outside, the pollen count is off the charts. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. Now, because of the wood that has been removed from in both sides on these cuts, the bottom is going to be a little proud, and that's okay. That's just part of the process. When you're sanding, you'll take that right out. I'll use I'll put this on a belt sander, and it'll really do a job on it. Now, as you can see, I wrote top on here. I wrote top on this piece right here, so I know that this was facing up, and this should glue with this. And matter of fact, you can see where the grain kind of matches up. So I'll try to center this. You can see this box was not hard at all. You know, a lot of times when you're making boxes, there's a lot of precision cutting that goes on and such, and with this, there really is not. So kind of straighten up the top with your front, back, and sides, and then I'll just put a little clamp on that, and we'll be good to go. So let's take all this tape off and see what we got. It's been about 45 minutes. It's enough for the glue to set up. It's not cured, but it's set up. That looks pretty good. Top is a little tight, but fits nice. Looks like it's time to do a little sanding, and let's see what we get. Alright, I got it all sanded up. Basically what I did is I put on a belt sander, and after the belt sander I just laid a piece of sandpaper down on a very flat surface I knew was flat, 120 grit, and I just sanded all the edges like so. Same with the top and the inside of this piece, because it was a little uneven. Just sanded across like this. I will now take it outside and spray it up, and we'll see what it looks like when I bring it inside. I'm going to be using this shellac. It dries real quick.
Wow, look at that box. The grain is absolutely gorgeous on it. The grain does wrap all the way around. Looks great. The box has a nice weight to it. What I did is I put 2 coats of shellac, hit it with a little steel wool, and then 2 coats of that brie wax. The brie wax is a really nice wax. Highly recommend that wax. Takes a little bit of buffing once it's on, but wow, I use that on my antique clocks and it does a beautiful job. So from this to that, nice. So 2 quick little tricks before I go. One is, if you wanted to add flocks to the inside of this, and what flocks is kind of like a velvety surface that you'll find inside of like ring boxes or jewelry boxes, and it gives a more professional type finish. Some people really like it. Is you could take whatever color flocks you're going to use paint, acrylic paint, just cheap acrylic paint from the craft store. You want to tape off the edges so you don't get it on your box. You paint the interior with just plain old acrylic paint. Put it into a Ziploc bag, a big bag. You can add the flocks to that and just shake it. And you'll have a really nice looking finish. You do the same with this. You'll have to tape around here. paint the surface blue and then flocks. You could flock that. The other way to do it with glue and a puffer and spray, and it's such a mess. This way's much better, quicker, really beautiful results. That little trick comes from Alex Snodgrass. He is a bandsaw guru with Craig. Now this tip is one that I learned from a carpenter. So you saw me while I was on the bandsaw draw some pretty straight lines, but just doing it freehand, no tape measure or anything like that. And so if you know roughly where you want to be and you have a straight edge, you kind of lock your finger into place as if it were in like a cast, and run your fingers along the edge and pull your pencil. That gives you a really straight edge. And if you want to continue with that edge, you can. All the way around, whatever you're doing, by locking in your fingers into that position, it'll give you, and this is how I did all the cuts for the box. All the lines, I drew them and then cut to those lines. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. Love that sound. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, share, subscribe. Even if you don't have a bandsaw plan to make this, share it with someone who has a bandsaw or who likes projects like this. They will really appreciate it. This is an awesome little project. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.